Hi friends, today's lesson is all about weather. Now, why is weather important to talk about? Well, let's look at some weather examples and see why. I don't think that you should be wearing flip-flops if it's snowing outside. That probably wasn't a good decision. That person certainly should have checked into the weather for the day. What about, uh-oh, it's pouring rain and what are those ladies missing? Oh, yes, of course, their umbrella. If only they had looked at the weather report for the day, they would have known it's going to rain later. Oh, that cat had the same problem. Although, unfortunately, I don't think the cat's checking the weather. What about, ooh, what's happening to this fella? Can you see? Something has flown off of his head. Yes, his hat. His hat is flying away. If he had looked at the weather to see that it was going to be a really windy day, he would have known he probably didn't want to wear a hat. And then finally, last year in Arizona, it got so hot that garbage cans started to melt. Oh my goodness, can you imagine going outside and the garbage can was melting? Probably not the best day to put out the garbage if it's going to be that hot. Okay, so as you can see, the weather is important. It's important to check to see what the weather is going to be for the day. Now, our learning goal for today says, I can describe the weather. So by the end of this video, you should be able to describe the weather in a couple different ways. Are you ready? All right, so weather is made up of 4 different things. It says, what makes weather? So clouds play an important role to weather. Wind plays an important role when we're talking about the weather. The temperature, how hot or how cold it is really important when we're talking about the weather. And then also how much water is going to be in the air. And we call that precipitation. Ooh, that's a big one. Can you go ahead and say that with me? Precipitation. Precipitation. Yeah. Okay, so those 4 things, clouds, wind, temperature, and precipitation, all play a really important role in determining or figuring out what the weather is. Let's talk about clouds first. Oh, it's a beautiful sunny day. Ooh, makes me want to go to the beach. Do you agree? Oh, I love it. I see a little bit of clouds there, but not too many. Oh, let me go get my beach chair. I'm all ready. And oh goodness. Well, okay, that's fine. There's only just one little cloud. So, and is it covering up the sun much? Nah, maybe just a little bit. But then later in the day, oh goodness, look at that. What's happening as more clouds start to fill up the sky? Yeah, we can't see the sun as well. So all of that good heat that's coming down starts to get blocked. Now, because we can still see the sun, I would probably describe this day as a partly cloudy. Partly means only part of it is all cloudy. So part of the sky is cloudy, but we can still see the sun. So this would be like a partly cloudy day. But what do you think this day would be considered? Yeah, a cloudy day. Can we even see the sun? No. Question for you. Does the sun disappear behind those clouds? No. Sometimes when adults are outside, they'll say, oh, the sun just disappeared. They don't mean that it like vanished. They just mean that the clouds have covered it up. And when the clouds kind of block us from the sun, it makes the temperature change and it really affects the weather. Especially like if you want to go outside and enjoy the day or you're expecting a nice sunny day, you're going to want to check to see what the clouds are doing. Now, temperature really is a huge part of the weather. Temperature can be really hot so that you're outside and you are frying like those sausages are. Or it can be really chilly outside, like a cold popsicle. All right? Do you see this red marker inside the thermometer? What happens is the hotter it gets, that red little goo will go up really high. And our reading on the thermometer will be really high, like a big number, like 89. Whew, that would be a really hot day. The bigger the number on the thermometer, the hotter it's going to be outside. Now, the colder it's going to be outside, the lower the number. So if 89 is really hot, ooh, 23 is very cold. Goodness gracious. Around like 50 degrees is when it starts to get a big change from being like warm to cold, okay? Especially for us here in Florida. Whew, once it gets past 60, we're like, okay, too cold. But in other parts of our country, it's colder, a lot lower. So when you're looking at a thermometer, you're talking about how hot or how cold it is, you want to look to see how high that number is. And then it can help you plan your day. the wind also plays a very important role in the weather. Because if it's a really hot day, say it's 88 degrees outside and you're going to be outside for a picnic, you might think about whether or not it's going to be really breezy. Because even though the temperature might be high, if there's a wind, it will make it feel cooler. And actually, if it's really cold outside, say the temperature is 13, if there's a strong wind, it can make it feel even colder. And super cold temperatures are not good for our bodies. So wind is really important. Like, let's look at this picture of this storm. Oh man, what is the wind doing to those trees? Yeah, it's pushing them over. And also, we can't really see it clearly in this picture, but the wind is also driving the rain over in one direction too. That makes a big difference in the weather. So wind is very important. Is there a lot of wind or is there not too much? And then finally, what was that big word? Precipitation. Precipitation is how much water there is in the air. And this means, we've talked about the water cycle before. When it's coming down, is it warm outside? So is it going to be rainy? Or is it really cold? So does that water freeze and turn into snow? That all changes the weather. So when you're thinking about the weather, you want to think about what type of precipitation is going on outside. And it might not be raining and it might not be snowy. But if it's warm and it feels, and there's a lot of water just in the air in general, it's going to be really humid. So precipitation is really important to tell us information about the weather. All right, so what makes the weather, friends? 4 things: clouds, wind, temperature, and precipitation. All right, our learning goal for today says, I can describe the weather. And I hope that when you go to describe the weather, you think about the clouds, the wind, the temperature, and precipitation.